Thank you for joining Wars of the Roses. As we continue with part 39, Raymond Lully, Book 7, Some Christian Students of the Kabalah from the Doctrine and Literature of the Kabalah by Arthur Edward Waite. 2. Raymond Lully. The name of Raymond Lully has been usually cited as that of a considerable authority on the Kabalah, as upon several other departments of the secret knowledge. It is time to affirm that few ascriptions seem to possess less foundation in fact. It must be said, first of all, that there is substantial ground for supposing that there were two distinct persons bearing this name, or that it was assumed for a second time at a later date. The original Raymond Lully was that seneschal of Majorca whose legend I narrated some 12 years ago in the Lives of Alchemystical Philosophers. He was born during the first half of the 13th century. The second Raymond Lully was an alchemist. His legend, enshrined in the deceitful memorial of a so-called Abbot of Westminster, was unknown, so far as I can trace, till the beginning of the 17th century, but the works by which he is distinguished from his prototype are certainly much earlier, possibly by 2 centuries. There is a third and modern legend which bears all the marks of invention by its narrator, Eliphas Levi, and this identifies the two personages by prolonging the life of the first through the instrumentality of the great elixir. It is described as a popular legend, but Raymond Lully and his namesake were never of enough importance to impress the imagination of the people. The first was a philosophical reformer and a Christian evangelist, martyred for an ill-judged attempt at the propagation of the faith among the Mussulmen of Africa. The second has been described, but on what grounds I am unable to state, as a Jewish neophyte or proselyte of the gate. This is therefore the personality which would naturally connect with Kabbalism. The second Raymond Lully connects, however, exclusively with alchemy, and his works are evidence that he did not renounce the Christian faith. It is to him must be attributed those keys, compendiums, testaments, and codicils of alchemy which are found in all the great collections of Hermetic treatises. He was so far imbued with the apostolic spirit of his predecessor that his great ambition was to engage some Catholic monarch in another barren crusade for the recovery of the Holy Sepulchre. According to his legend, he transmuted into gold sufficient base metal for the minting of 6 million nobles, for the benefit of an Edward, King of England, on condition that he assumed the Red Cross. The king did not keep his promise, and the adept escaped as he could from the extortion of further projections. The confusion of the two Raymonds is perhaps more excusable among occultists than for ordinary biographers. That alchemy connects with Kabbalism, or that Kabbalism became identified with alchemy, the treatise on purifying fire sufficiently testifies, but the alchemist per se is not, as we have seen, a Kabbalist, and there is no single word of Kabbalism in the Hermetic treatises of Raymond Lully II. The Doctor of Majorca does connect artificially with the esoteric tradition of the Jews by the arbitrary use of certain words and methods, though he was not a proselyte of the gate. But his system is a mechanical introduction to the sciences and has no title to the name, having nothing to do with a tradition, exoteric or esoteric, Jewish or Gentile. It has, moreover, no mystical foundation and is concerned wholly with an educational method. It is therefore untrue to say that Raymond Lully was one of the grand and sublime masters of transcendent science, as Eliphas Levi describes him. In the Ars Magna Sciendi and the Ars Notoria, there is as much occult significance as in the scholastic jest concerning chimera bombinans in vacuo. The Notary Art of Solomon, which Robert Turner first printed in English, connects remotely with Kabbalism, and the Ars Notoria of Raymond Lully has a verbal connection and no more with this Enchiridion of Jewry. It is the same with the treatise entitled De Auditu Kabbalistico, an opusculum Raymondinum, or particular application of the method of Lully, which has been ignorantly included among his works. The name alone is occult, and its selection is beyond conjecture. The work proves, on examination, to be a late offshoot of the great, vacant, pretentious system, which enabled those who mastered it to dispute on all subjects with success, though perhaps without knowledge of any. Some great minds were captivated by it, but such captivities are among the weaknesses of great minds. The best that can be said for the Ars Magna is that it was discoursed upon by Cornelius Agrippa, and that it was tolerated by Picus de Mirandola. And of these facts, at the present day, neither possesses a consequence. The chief philosophical mission of the first Raymond Lully was to protest against the school of Averroes. His chief practical work was the exhortation of prelates and princes to found schools for the study of languages so as to facilitate the conversion of the heathen. But there were few who heard or heeded him. It was only after his death that his system obtained for a time a certain vogue. The collapse of the process of his beatification is one of the great escapes of the Latin Church, because it would have helped to accredit a system which began and ended in words. It was not, as it has been described erroneously, a universal science or a synthesis of knowledge. It was chaff and noise. Its egregious tabulations are a mockery for the modern understanding. Even the martyrdom of this eccentric Spanish enthusiast had a strain of the folly of suicide, if the martyrologists have told it truly. It had, however, its defenders, and it had in time its miraculous legend. So also, and for the space of some centuries, there was a quiet and intelligible cultus of Raymond Lully in the Balearic Islands, which, like some other local sanctities, has become perhaps scarcely a memory. I should add, in conclusion, that there are works by or attributed to the original Raymond Lully, which have no connection with his Ars Magna Siendi, as they have none with occult science and belong to a higher category. When we turn over the vast, uncompleted collection of his opera omnia and dwell, as the devout student will gratefully do, on certain passages concerning the eternal subsistence of the lover and the beloved in God, concerning contemplation in God, quomodo omnis nostra perfectio sit in perfectione nostri Domini Dei, and the deep things of divine union, we begin to discern the existence, so to speak, of a third Lully, who has qualities which recommend him to our admiration, which are wanting in the Doctor Illuminatis, though he invented the Ars Magna, and in the Doctor Alchemysticus, even if he transmuted metals. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe and comment, and if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Roses. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.